Hello, 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 friends. Nicholas here with DIVO TED Talks, Devoted Talks, where we take ancient wisdom and practices through a modern lens and experience to help you and those you love in suffering in your personal and greater worlds alike. And I've been feeling better. I've been feeling good. I've been purging my house still, and I've been working through, you know, just emotional stuff related to identity, right? Like my mom passed away and I opened a new business and I'm a business owner, but business doesn't exactly always go the way you think it should or would or could. And then there's just things that you want in life and you expect it to be like based on worldview and beliefs. And so there has been a deep unstructuring of how I have been living life so that I can foundationally build something new that is more in alignment with who I am now versus who I've been in the past. And so I can see glimpses of it, but one of the biggest challenges I've always had in my life is I'm always trying to get ahead of where I am in the order. And just because I can see the finish line doesn't mean that I'm at the finish line. It's kind of like when I was running a marathon and I was like, it's just up there a half mile, but I had to get all the way uphill via that half mile. And so all I could do was stop and look down at my feet and count 1 to 10 on my strides and then start over 1 to 10. And I did it 10 movements at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It wasn't quite that fast because I was going a little bit slower because it was uphill and it was 4.5 hours into it. And that was a really hard marathon. My other ones, I had been a little bit more conditioned, a little bit more trained, and it was in conditions that were uh, more reflective of what I had trained in. Whereas in that particular marathon, I had trained in heat and summer, and in November, we had a random, like, just above freezing or right at freezing start line, which was crazy. And so my body did not react very well to that. And then I made another mistake. I ate something that I had not trained with eating. And so when I ate it in the middle of the race, it did not sit well. It did not work well. And I went in the opposite direction from what I was hoping. I learned a lot of lessons in that. But one of the most prominent and important was it doesn't matter what you can see as the finish or your destination. You still have to continue getting there. And sometimes it requires looking into the distance and going full out. And sometimes it's going to be a one step at a time. I'm at a point in my life where it is one step at a time because I am going uphill. Uphill isn't bad. As humans, have not we like, we have as humans tried to simplify our lives so that we can do more, squeeze more in based on the societal structures that we've created, right? Like we have a work week, we have money that is our currency that we have to exchange or earn or some variation thereof. And within that, we have to do the things to get the things. And we have to do the things to be in a place for the things, whatever that means. And so I'm currently in an uphill that I am not begrudging, but I thought would be a little bit smoother, slash, based on the way I had planned it, I would have shortcut all the things that I needed to by hiring the people, places, and things that were going to facilitate me getting there faster or more prominently, to the point now that as I was working with this one company in particular, I um, was doing what they were saying and I was following what they were saying, and what they said made sense. But in execution and output, it never really landed the same. And part of it was I was doing their thing, not my thing. And as I began to realize more and more and more that their thing wasn't my thing, no judgment, but I was expending resources and money to continue doing things that didn't line up with my business model and or who I am as a person. And so now, interestingly, they actually put out an ad, which I thought was hilarious, that basically said 3/4 of what they do isn't working anymore. They literally articulated that their methodology, except for one piece of it, wasn't working. And I knew what the one piece was that is working for them or was working for them, which was the one piece that I didn't have, but I didn't need it because it would have just been an extra expense on something that I can do up here. Like they're trying to simplify training via an app that basically you program with your brain knowledge and stuff so that you can hire people and leverage them to deliver your programming but without extra effort on your part, except for trainings and, stuff like that to help enrich those particular people delivering it. And so that's great, but that's not where I'm at. I don't have any employees. So me creating an app would have just been me simplifying my stuff when I'm the one who designed it in the first place. And I'm still going through the machinations. Like, I offer semi-private training, but it hasn't taken off in the same way that I thought it would or could. And so I'm still running it, but I don't know if that's the end game there. And so all of this to say, I'm still on the uphill, but that's just because this is what is necessary for the greater goals that I have in life. And so I have come across different teachings from Bashar and Abraham Hicks and stuff that have been reminding me that I am lining up with this because it is the path of least resistance, even if resistant in and of itself, for me to get to the goals and destination that I want. And instead of begrudging the path, I am learning to be present for the path and appreciate it where I can. I struggle with that. And anybody reasonable would. Right? Because as a society, we want what we want when we want it, and that is okay. However, if you cause suffering for yourself, or undue suffering, or excessive suffering, or just suffering in general because it's not happening the way you want it to, well, that's a choice. That is a decision. And then people might argue, well, you don't know my life. And I'm like, I don't have to know your life because I know mine well enough to know what's happening, right? We all live life. And we all interact with life in similar ways. We're either resonant with our highest desires and wants, or we're not. And that creates all kinds of spin-offs and experiences in relation to that alignment or disalignment or misalignment. And so yoga and Ayurveda are saying, keep yourself balanced, keep yourself stable, keep yourself resourced in a way that you are closer to that alignment than not. And then if you get out of alignment, they offer solutions to bring you back into that alignment. Not in a strict, dogmatic, you have to, but in a more open and receptive way, so that the resources that are meant to come to you can, and you're not forcing yourself through, you're not depleting yourself, you're not burning the candle at both ends. And there's so many different ways you can say this. There's so many different ways you can really come at it, and it's all good, right? Nobody's saying you have to change your life completely and overnight. But what I am trying to say is, from my experience and what I am learning, I am having better day-to-day physicality and success in getting things done because I'm not trying to make life be something that it's not right now. And I'm not lamenting it for not being what I thought I wanted it to be right now versus the path to what I want. And so in that conundrum, right? Because if the path is the way to the destination, you have to do both. But what is more real? The only thing that's real is your experiences now, because there is a truth to your experience as you understand them now. However, they are not eternal truth. And so they are just valid. They are happening, but they are not concrete. They can change. They are mutable to that alignment or misalignment. And so even though everything that's happening to you is a real experience to you right here, right now, in that moment, it can change at any moment, which makes it less real, which makes it less solid, and makes it more able to morph and transform for you to your highest desires, highest preferences, highest, I don't know, expressions. I feel like I'm saying the same words over and over again, but guess what? It's taken me decades to figure out how to verbalize this. And even much of it has been just in the last 10 years. And I have always tried to be ahead of what I am or where I'm at because I can see the finish line. But just because I can see the finish line doesn't mean I'm at the finish line. And so I have to look down, at least right now, to see where I'm going and then figure out what I have to give right now. And if I have a lot, I can give more. And if I don't, I don't. right? I've sprinted across the finish line for some races and I've crawled across others, but I had to have the wisdom to know where I was at with that. And so my wish for you is to figure out this resourcing or lack thereof and looking at your feet just for the moment, but not living in your feet, right? It's not about the steps so much as it's being present and in the moment for the steps than it is, uh, sorry, let me rephrase that. It is more about you checking to see that you are taking the steps and that there's nothing directly in front of you that's going to impede that so that you can adjust accordingly. And it's really just about moving forward. And being in the moment allows you to do the things successfully without much impediment versus trying to be at the finish line already, where you have all of these things that can happen to you that if you're looking at the finish line, you might run into them, right? If I've walked into fences that were lower than my visual, my visual focus, and boom, and that sucked. But that was because I wasn't paying attention to the moment. I was more about future tripping, right? And sometimes some of us are past tripping, and so we're still moving forward, maybe towards a goal, maybe not, but we're living in the past and we're tripping over the things that have come before that are no longer there. So I felt like I was on a straight train with this, and then I've gotten a little sideways. But you know what? That's life, right? Life is this diffuse sometimes. And we practice yoga and Ayurveda and meditation to help hone it back in, to rein it back in, to solidify it, to quicken it, to allow it to blossom, to allow it to germinate, to allow it to take root radically in our life. I say radically because the root that comes out in the young sprout is called the radical. Anyway, all I want for you guys is to be well and be free. And it's just around the corner if you let it be.